He came before death itself. Close your eyes. No, really. Close your eyes for a second. And imagine being pulled into a tunnel of time. You're flying backward, not through centuries, not through the age of dinosaurs, but through billions of years. Until there's nothing. No forests, no oceans, no oxygen, no life. The Earth back then was young and furious, a molten ball with an iron heart, erupting volcanoes, scorching lava, toxic skies. Every breath was poison, every wave boiled. There was no hope, no death, because nothing had ever lived. But deep in this chaos, something moved. Not a volcano, not a lightning bolt, but something so small, so subtle. You couldn't see it, but it would rewrite the fate of an entire planet. There was no witness, no celebration, no trumpet sound, just a microscopic droplet, quivering in boiling water, beginning to replicate. He had no name, no eyes, no thoughts. But he lived, not in the poetic sense. He literally copied himself, again and again. And in a world where nothing else could do that, he was the first to win. From that moment on, Earth was no longer alone. A creature no one saw, no one named, quietly began the story of every living thing that would ever exist. And to this day, his descendants are still alive, inside you, from death to life. The greatest mystery in Earth's history. No one gave birth to him. No hands crafted him. He didn't fall from the stars, and no God breathed him into being. He simply happened. Sounds impossible? Maybe. But in the chaos of early Earth, the impossible was the most logical outcome. In the heart of chaos, atoms started to dance beneath the ancient ocean. Deep in the pitch-black abyss, volcanic vents were spewing clouds of scalding, metal-rich steam. The temperature, hot enough to boil metal. The pressure, enough to crush steel. The environment, toxic gases, sulfur, methane, and acid. But in this natural pressure cooker, the building blocks of life were colliding, combining, and reacting. Some of them linked into organic molecules, others joined to form simple chains, and, once in a billion tries, one chain did something truly bizarre. It copied itself. A molecule with no soul made the first move. It didn't think. It didn't feel. But it replicated, on its own. That made it dangerous. It was no longer just chemistry. It was biology. That tiny strand, most likely RNA, was the first to cross the line between dead and alive. No brain, no purpose. But it did what nothing else on Earth could do. It made a copy of itself. No miracle, just chemistry, time, and an insane amount of luck. Think of it like rolling a trillion-sided die every second for millions of years. Eventually, it landed on the winning number. That's how life began. Not with fireworks, not with divine light, just with a small strand of code quietly duplicating in the dark. And once that happened, things escalated fast. The strand wrapped itself in a bubble of fat, a primitive membrane. Then it grew, split, and repeated, until finally, Earth had its first living cell. From lifeless elements came the first organism. We don't know the exact moment, but from then on, water wasn't just water, rocks weren't just rocks. They became habitat. That first cell didn't shout, it didn't rebel, but its very existence was a silent revolution against death. From dead atoms came a creature that refused to stay dead. No one saw it, but every living thing today is proof that it truly existed. The first to live, a one-cell empire that ruled hell. He didn't know he was the first. He had no idea the world would someday have dinosaurs, birds, or humans. All he knew, if we can even call it knowing, was divide, multiply, absorb whatever was around, never stop. And in a world where nothing else was doing that, he became king. An empire born in silence. The first bacterium wasn't noble. It had no tools, no brain, no eyes, But it had one thing that no other matter on Earth had ever done. It didn't need anyone to reproduce. Just one cell. Just a bit of minerals. That's all it needed to make 2, then 4, then 8. Then a silent swarm, clinging to rocks, drifting through hot water, slipping into cracks in the ocean floor. It didn't sleep. It didn't tire. It didn't die. Not in the way we think of death. Every copy took only minutes. Every minute gave birth to more, and the world, still full of fire and poison, wasn't ready. But it didn't matter. Life wasn't asking permission. Life rising from hell. This first form of life wasn't delicate. It was built for chaos. The deep-sea vents where it lived were brutal. No sunlight, no calm. But there was also no competition, no predators, no limits. It thrived. It used sulfur. It fed on heat and metal. It didn't care about air or light. It wasn't just surviving hell, it was made for it. Nothing could kill it. Toxic gases couldn't choke it. Boiling water couldn't burn it. Crushing pressure couldn't break it. It wasn't weak. It was the perfect survivor. Earth. From dead desert to bacterial empire. After millions of years of silent replication, it happened. They conquered the oceans, not by war, not with weapons, but with sheer numbers. The seafloor, the cracks, the vents, even the first drops of surface water, all filled with them. And then, some of them mutated. Some rose closer to the surface. Some learned to use sunlight. And when sunlight was turned into energy, the oxygen revolution began. From a single invisible cell living in boiling darkness, bacteria quietly overthrew death and became Earth's first rulers. No crown, no throne, just everywhere. The Great Betrayal. When bacteria created oxygen and killed their own. Imagine a world where there's no air to breathe. Not because someone stole it, but because oxygen hadn't been invented yet. What we breathe today, oxygen, was once a deadly poison. And the cruel twist? It was bacteria who created it. Some bacteria dared to look up for billions of years. Bacteria ruled the depths. They lived in the dark, fed on minerals, and didn't care for light. But a small group, a few rebels, floated toward the sun. They weren't smarter. They weren't stronger. But they stumbled onto something new, photosynthesis. For the first time in Earth's history, sunlight became food. And the waste product? Oxygen. The problem? Oxygen was lethal. To us, oxygen is life. But to ancient anaerobic bacteria, it was pure destruction. It shredded membranes. It broke down proteins. It mutated DNA beyond repair. Oxygen seeped through the oceans like invisible acid. The deep-sea empires of old began to fall, not by war, not by meteor, but by the breath of their own kind. Earth's first extinction wasn't from space. It came from inside. Scientists call it the Great Oxygenation Event. It wasn't fast. It crept across millions of years, like a slow, silent tide. And one by one, the old bacteria suffocated, shriveled, and vanished. They weren't wiped out by aliens. They were poisoned by their own descendants, by cousins who learned to use sunlight. The survivors fled, down into the mud, into rocks, into caves and vents where oxygen couldn't reach. They live there to this day. Above, the sky turned blue. As oxygen built up, it didn't just kill, it transformed. It bonded with iron in the oceans, staining the seafloor red. It filled the sky. It built the ozone layer. And it made room for creatures who needed breath. One microscopic betrayal redefined the planet. Bacteria didn't have hearts, but they triggered Earth's first mass extinction. No war, no evil, just evolution with sharp teeth. Humans, the ones who never knew they were living with their ancestors billions of years past. The Earth changed beyond recognition. Oceans calmed. The sky turned blue. Mountains rose. Forests grew. Dinosaurs came and went. Empires rose and crumbled. And finally, humans appeared. They built cities, flew planes, split atoms, sent rockets to the moon. They called themselves advanced. They thought they were alone at the top, but they forgot one small thing. They were never alone. You think you're fully human? Think again. The average human body has around 30 trillion human cells, but it's home to nearly 40 trillion bacteria. They live in your mouth, on your skin, deep in your intestines, on everything you touch. You are not a single life form. You are an ecosystem. Every breath, every bite, every thought, they're right there with you. They help you digest food. They shape your immune system. Some even influence your brain. Certain bacteria only live inside humans as if your body was their entire world. Others stay silent until you get sick, then they strike. Who's really in charge? You, or the ancient travelers inside you? And the oldest truth? Your ancestor never died. That first cell, the original bacterium, still exists. It lives in the ocean, in the rocks, in your gut, on your tongue. It has no name, no voice, but it's been here since the beginning, and it never left. They were there when you were born, and they'll be there when you die, when your heart stops, and your cells begin to decay. The first to respond aren't doctors. They aren't angels. They are the bacteria that have been living in you since day one. They break you down, gently, efficiently. They return you to the earth, molecule by molecule. No funeral is faster, no goodbye is more ancient. We never left bacteria behind. We are part of them, and they've always been part of us. Our ancestors left Earth. When bacteria entered space, humans have dreamed of the stars for thousands of years. They built rockets, launched satellites, and sent probes to Mars. And when they left Earth for the first time, they thought, we are the pioneers of life beyond Earth. But the truth is, something else got there first. Bacteria, the silent passengers of every space mission. From the very first launch, we've unknowingly brought millions of bacteria with us. They cling to our skin, ride inside our mouths, hide in our clothes and food, float in the air systems of our ships. Even the International Space Station, ISS, a high-tech, sterilized lab floating above Earth, is home to an invisible world of microbes. And here's the twist. Some bacteria didn't just survive space. They got stronger. Space doesn't kill them. It evolves them. Under radiation and microgravity, some bacteria mutated. One strain of Salmonella became 3 times more dangerous in orbit. Others formed biofilms, sticky shields that resist antibiotics. Some even grew thicker cell walls, protecting them from the harsh vacuum of space. They don't need air. They don't need comfort. They just need a chance to float and adapt. Mars may have already been claimed. We try to sterilize every lander we send. Viking, Curiosity, Perseverance. But true sterility is impossible. Just one surviving bacterium tucked in a screw or under a panel might already be living on Mars, hibernating in the dust, waiting for a chance to wake up. No passport, no spacesuit, just ancient endurance. One day, humans will set foot on another world, and they may discover their ancestors were already there, not astronauts, not robots, but a microbe, drifting silently, carried by starlight and luck, the oldest traveler in the universe. The beginning, and perhaps the end. We build machines. We send data across galaxies. We map DNA and dream of eternity. But strip it all away, and what do you find? At the core of life, then, now, and maybe forever, there is a single cell born in darkness that simply knew how to survive. No fanfare, no voice, just replication and patience. And maybe, long after we're gone, they'll still be drifting, quietly alive, between the stars